Welcome back to the Venus Report podcast.
Hey, hey, hey.
It's Kate and Liz back at it again. We've got new mics, or I've got a new mic, so I hope I sound clear and crisp.
Crispy.
Do I sound crispy?
You sound crispy.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right, so what are we getting into today?
So we had like a rough outline of what we wanted to talk about today. I've been really loving learning about what's happening this whole year. There's a lot of ingresses and just planets entering new signs that they haven't been in for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just looking at these major transits, I'm noticing that a lot of things are going into Pisces and or Aquarius, and that's like the end of the zodiac season, so it feels like major endings are taking place. We're at the beginning of the end of the endings, right? Of whatever those major planets have been teaching us. And yeah, that's
so
what I've noticed.
before we get into that, I want to ask, how are you and how have you been experiencing this Aquarius, the end of Aquarius season?
Yeah.
What's the vibe?
What's
your vibe?
End of Aquarius, or I guess Aquarius season in general, is always the most negative positive way I can say it is it's always kind of my least favorite time of year, and it's but I learn so much. I feel like it's a time where I'm not excited about anything because everything seems just far away and things are just moving slow. And I would say personally that's also a truth. It's things are just moving slow. There's this emphasis on really trying to just back off from the pressure of getting to the next level. You know what I mean? That's
leveling.
Right, because I also there is a major theme right now where it's you just you automatically with ease just think about the future, and you just want to think about all the things ahead because it's Aquarian, and you're trying to think ahead but be creative at the same time, and it feels, but because it's the winter and it's slow, it's that duality that I feel I'm constantly struggling with. What about you? How's this time been?
Yeah. The end, February is always it feels slow for me. This year I feel a lot of things are happening. I've been looking at my chart and what's going on in my chart, and right now Venus is in Pisces, which rules my third house. And if any listeners are also a Capricorn rising, that's also what you're going through too, is a third house transit of Venus in Pisces. And it's funny because third house traditionally can represent your neighborhoods and your groups of people that you are around every day. And Venus is just there. And I definitely feel I have a lot of support with the community that I've built, which is so cool because I never thought I would actually build a community in my work, but I have. And that's
really cool.
It feels so cool. The yoga shala that I practice and study and teach at, I'm doing that somatic regulation series, and I have a good amount of people signed up, and it feels so good. And it's all people that I know, kind of once removed, I know them, or they're good friends. And I think it's just bringing me this sense of oh, my work can be presented to people in my life that are friends. It doesn't have to be all these random mystery clients that I have in my head. And in reality, the clients that I have, the people that I'm offering the work to and I'm feeling fulfilled by, are all people I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
That's,
and it's kind of crazy. No, sorry.
Go ahead.
I noticed that community-based things are just kind of, well, I guess in terms of a business, I feel like a lot of people when like for instance me, when I'm like, okay, I want to like have my own thing. I want to I want to be an entrepreneur. That what that really means is making connections with people personally and kind of like, because
Yes.
as like a solo person, you have so much, not like so much to prove, but like if you're on a team of people, you can kind of like have less effort on proving yourself through the work because there's so much work being done and there's like so many people supporting it.
Yeah.
But like when you're just solo in that, you kind of, I think that's what I'm realizing too. And that's a very Aquarius thing too.
It is very
You have
Aquarius.
you have to make connections with people. You can't just kind of like sit behind your phone and like
And
post
and
stuff, which
expect
is like what I
people,
do.
yeah, and expect people
Which
to
is
like
what I do.
buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, not even that, but just like even like trust you or even just know. It's like I'm like so bad with social media and I'm just like, oh yeah, like let me post something, but it's like nothing shows up because I like don't, I'm like not like extending the like personal connection, but I'm still finding my way with all that because I'm just trying to find what makes sense with what I have going on, like Brilliant Pit and Essence. I'm trying to like figure that out with those. But no, it's so true that you need that personal connection with people to feel like that they trust you or like that they want to invest in you. And
It's like I was literally thinking about this the other day. It's like people need to trust you in order to it's not just about purchasing. It's about like doing okay, there was this beautiful quote that I saw the other day and it was like the people that will drink from your fountain of offering, it was just kind of something about that, but the people that will drink from your fountain are people that trust you and people that know you. Like
yeah,
if you think about yourself, like I'm not gonna buy a course on healing or something if I don't know the facilitator or if I know nothing about them.
or if you've
And
never seen their face, like
I've
I
never
think that's
seen
also a
them.
big thing.
Yeah, like I've never seen their energy in a space. Not that I'm like consciously saying like I need to see your energy before I buy anything from you, but I think subconsciously you feel safe when you like see that person in the world and you're like, okay, this is how they communicate. They're
I
pretty
think that's
relatable.
real.
It's so real.
That's real. And that's like what psychology really is like Aquarius is actually very much about psychology too, because it's like
Yeah.
you're like
Air
you're
sign.
like if yeah, and like you're connecting with like a community, but in order to feel connected to that community, you have to like see the, like you said, like see the person in action and like what their values are. I feel like values is another really big one with like
Yes.
trusting somebody.
Values is so, I feel like Aquarius too. Same with Taurus, like second house, but like
Yeah.
I feel like so many planets in Aquarius right now. We're in this age of Aquarius where like we don't want to purchase anything that doesn't align with our values. Like it doesn't matter about like just the product anymore. It really matters about like the company's values and what they believe in. Like that is
And like the
actually more of a
humane
driver.
Yeah, and like huge emphasis on sustainability these days and like minimalism, even like it's just like what's best for like a lot of people buy based on like what's best for the planet too. So
Yeah. That's amazing.
it's all about how you emphasize your values too. Like how you communicate your values as an entrepreneur.
And like something else I wanted to say about that whole thing of like building a community and like trust is like I feel like there was a sense of like disappointment almost when I was like, oh, the people that I'm offering this to is actually like the people that I know, the people that I've been acquaintance with over the years that I've met through working at restaurants, like, and there was almost like a moment of like, oh man, which I was like, why is this coming up? Because
Yeah.
I think in my mind, I had an idea of what my customer base or clients have to look like. And
Or
it's
like
just
how
gonna
it
be
far
random-
extended from you they
Yeah,
should be.
and it's just going to be random people reaching out to me from God knows where, which like that's not a reality. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen like that.
Well, it's like it doesn't happen that way at first. That's
Yeah.
that's the whole point of like the community thing, because it's like once you have a community, then they if they trust you, they're going to extend your work to their own community. And that's how like growth happens. And then it's just like, what just from what I've heard, it just will like constantly just be growing and growing, and you won't even like have that. Now you'll see people from like different countries all, like reaching out to you about your work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's a slow, long game of trust in yourself and a lot of like ego death. I mean, for me, it was very much like death of my ego and like wanting to be a specific way and having it not be that way, but then realizing, oh, this is actually way more heart-based and practical. And there's a real connection between me and all of my all of my participants.
Yeah. And
I know
that's
that
like
from random places.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's what matters. Like that is the thing that matters, which I'm slowly learning that like that is how to build something from the ground up by yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Is really making that connection.
Yeah.
All right. Should
So,
we get into it?
Yeah. So what are you most like in awe about for the upcoming year? Should we start there?
Yeah. So, I would say what I noticed, and I wrote like a little spiel on this, but basically like near the spring equinox, there's a lot of slow moving planets changing signs, like you said, which is huge. That it's all happening next month. Well, not all, but next month there's a shift with Pluto, which is the slowest. Is it the slowest, or is Neptune the slowest? I don't remember.
No, Pluto is the slowest. It takes 284 years.
Oh, 84, okay.
Something like that to do a whole circle.
To go around the zodiac. Right. So like how the sun, it's 365, Pluto is 2 something 100 years. 280 something years. So that's moving into Aquarius, and Saturn is moving into Pisces, which moves every 30 years. So I would say what I was basically saying is that a lot of them are changing signs in the spring. But leading into the summer, there's a lot of planets, these same planets turning retrograde. And even like Jupiter and the other slow moving planets are going retrograde. So it's almost like things are like moving forward in the spring, and then they're like, but I think this is also part of the natural cycle of all the planets. It's like they always kind of turn back a little bit, but I just like that it's like the spring is like kick into gear, but summer might be a more reflective time generationally.
Yes. So
yeah.
Pluto is moving to Aquarius on March 23rd. And then it goes retrograde May 1st until October. So like from March to May, we get this like preview of Pluto in Aquarius, and we can talk about what that means maybe next. And then October 10th is when, well, May to October 10th, it'll be retrograde back into Capricorn.
Yeah, that's
and then October 10th, 2023, it will be leaving Aquarius forever. Not forever, but for the next...
but for our lifetime.
For our lifetime, we will never see that again, which is wild.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you what you think about Pluto and Aquarius, but I want to say my thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, I have it written down, was in 1776. So it's like, what were you doing in 1776? So Pluto, the last time it was there, it was 1700s. The American Revolution and the French Revolution happened when Pluto entered Aquarius. So we can like look at history to see what might the next 30 years look like. It takes about 30 years for Pluto to go through one sign. So Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 30 years, starting in October or March.
Wow, for the next 30 years?
Yep. So
that's kind of cool, because at the time that it will change the new sign, it'll be like Saturn will be there again. We'll go through another Pluto Saturn conjunction.
Because Saturn takes about 30 years to do a whole cycle. So
Yeah, wow.
what I feel like with Pluto, you can understand like what happens with Pluto. It's more a generational planet. But the last time when Pluto entered Capricorn, it was 2008. Do you remember what happened in 2008?
Yes, yeah.
The big recession.
Yeah, the market crash. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a huge recession. Pluto entered Capricorn, which is like, Capricorn is a sign of like money and like building finances and like career.
You know what else happened in 2008?
What?
I know this is just based on our location, but like Pluto, you said this is Pluto in Capricorn or Pluto? You
Pluto in
said it
Capricorn.
entered. Yeah, Pluto in
2008.
Capricorn. There was also that ice storm where like
Yes.
we lost all of our power and nothing worked. It was like the underworld like
Yeah.
coming and like taking over, and yeah,
It was an
that's
interesting time. That time like sticks out in my mind.
me too.
So like, yeah, so Pluto's going to bring up a lot of stuff. I have a feeling that Pluto in Aquarius is going to be, and it's already happening, but like AI and that whole like the buzzy thing with AI taking over and just like AI being more of a presence in society. There's going to be a lot that has to do with that. There's going to be, I think, conversations around AI. I think just technology is going where it's gonna pop off in a way that we haven't seen before.
There might be like a
Be
revolution
revolutionary.
around technology.
It's gonna be revolutionary. Yes.
Yeah. And there could even be like over the course of the next 30 years, like the landscape of technology could very well look completely different. Like
Oh my gosh.
there
yeah.
could be like jobs might be taken over, or like however, you know what I mean? I'm also thinking of the fusion between Capricorn and Aquarius, because like obviously it's so slow moving that it will like you'll feel this blend of energy right now and into maybe the next 5 years, you know what I mean? Because it's like very early Aquarius.
Yeah.
So like jobs, things like structural that will be changing into a more technologically future oriented outlook. And then yeah, like you said, I do feel like AI is something that will be very stationary. Like it will be here and it's gonna be kind of like, but also with Pluto. And the reason I say this is because I did write down for like one of the first major transits, which we just went through, which was Mercury conjunct Pluto. I personally had experiences that were very like deep rooted, like conversations, even conversations about like generational footprints and things, and
Like what? Like what conversation?
getting, yeah, like basically me and Christian, my partner Christian, if people don't know, I'm sure they don't, but we were just talking about like family lineage and how like things can be passed down in generations, and like that was like that like during literally on February 10th, like just out of nowhere we like got into that conversation about how you can see it in your own life, what your generational like thing, what your basically your past could bring in your own life. And that was like very Mercury Pluto to me. It was Mercury conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, so it was just like that deep rooted like up digging. So when we're talking about Pluto and Aquarius, it makes me feel like there's going to be like an uprooting of structures that be for technology to like come in, and or it's like uprooting the bad parts of technology, or like the not the bad but like the parts of technology that don't really
aren't
work
working.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes. I feel like also Pluto and Aquarius will be, I wrote something down, decentralized everything. Because Aquarius
Yes.
is so about, it's you know, it's like crypto, it's decentralizing the resources that we use as a society, like decentralized media fashion, like anything novel, romance, like art. I feel like there will be a movement of so many subcategories of art, fashion, and activism that we will like be able, do you know what I mean? Like we will be able to see how large the planet is and how many people are on this planet. Because Aquarius.
Like you're saying, yes, it will bring everything into one.
Yes.
It will be like, yes, I absolutely. I'm even like the work that I'm doing now is all about decentralized media.
Is
and
it?
Helping, yeah, it's helping business to business clients.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's literally, we have a platform we have a value that's decentralization. And it's like, we bring these business to business clients into this platform so they feel like they're not so far away from people anymore. They feel like they have a say in the community, and it brings like video content together with podcast content, and it's all like the content in one place. And that's exactly what I see happening more in the future.
Me too. And I feel like Pluto is sex, money, power dynamics. So whatever that looks like now in society, things are going to shift. I can see like gender just being a continued conversation, and people like just being in their own world and like deciding to live by their own terms in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I also wrote down data empowerment, which is like having the information to empower you to do your own healing, to do your own work. And that's also what I'm feeling into with what I'm offering with my somatic clients and my somatic LLC, is like I'm educating people on the nervous system and how they can actually understand their bodies to heal themselves.
Yeah.
So like, I just feel like information is so powerful. Knowledge is power. And that's going to be a theme. Knowledge, Aquarius, power, Pluto is going to be huge for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Until 2044, Pluto will be in Aquarius. So we've got some time. It'll happen.
And definitely, yeah. And look at where Aquarius rules in your chart, Kate. You have the second house.
Yep.
Aquarius rules the second house. Wow, cool.
Where's
That'll be
yours?
cool. Fourth house. So
Wow.
that should be interesting.
Yeah, I feel like with your move, that might be
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for
Yeah,
me,
thinking
second
about
house-
moving.
Yeah. For me, second house is all about money and how I make a living and my finances, which has been a struggle my whole life. So hopefully Pluto will bring up some empowerment. And you know what else is interesting about Pluto? And then we can go on to another topic. Is Pluto has been moving through my first house since 2008. So
Wow.
I've had this Pluto transit going through the house that is the most palpable in this reality. And I have had an absurd amount of transformation. And my life has oriented itself around transformation.
That makes so much sense to me.
Does it?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Pluto in your first house, you have literally been self-actualizing since 2008.
I sure have.
That's crazy. And then I think about, last thing, but like the fact that Pluto is at, I think it's like 28 degrees in my first house. So I'll never see that. It's only ever going to reach like maybe, I don't even know, maybe the ninth house or something.
For those who don't know, Liz has a natal Pluto in her first house. So she was born with Pluto in her first house. So she's saying that when it transits, it's not going to ever reach her first house again because it takes 200, unless you live to be 285 or something.
But and now that I'm thinking about it, it went through my second house during my lifetime. But like, obviously I was just too young to like realize that. So just very interesting. So I don't know if we mentioned this, but so that's happening March 23rd.
Yeah.
Pluto enters Aquarius. March 7th, before that, March 7th, I don't know, 20 days before that, Saturn enters Pisces. And that's huge.
Huge.
Yeah. And that's, so I I could talk about this for a really long time. I've actually,
Yeah.
Christian, my partner, he is kind of like, he loves the 90s. He loves that time frame, and he has just this deep love for that time, as do I. And I've always felt just like weirdly connected to people like Kurt Cobain, and it's just very interesting. He has Saturn in Pisces. There's a lot of people and a lot of time during that time of 95 when Saturn was in Pisces. There was this, what I notice now looking back, is there was this angst Saturn in music, Pisces. It was
Wow.
all about
I
the
just thought of
challenges.
Blink 182. Yeah.
Yeah, or yeah,
Or
that, and like
any
just quite
grunge.
literally anything in the 90s. There was this movement of like, we don't care what you're like, what you're, it was kind of like, we don't care what our parents are telling us to do, we're gonna like do music, and like this is the movement. Like it was very much like Saturn being this like thing through art. Saturn was very prevalent through art during that time, and I'm having like this very growing, blossoming love for Saturn and Pisces. So I'm very interested in how it's
Oh,
gonna smack me in the face with my Saturn
yeah.
return
No.
in a
So
couple of years. But
last time Saturn was in Pisces was 95. Is that what you said?
well, yes, that it was at the end of.
And
I have 24 degrees, and I was born in June of 95. So my Saturn was at 24 degrees of Pisces. So it probably entered in 93.
93-ish. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. That was a
yeah.
fucking time.
Yeah. I
Ah,
missed, like, I almost, it's like I didn't live through that time, but with, like, Christian, he just, like, shows me all this stuff from that time, and it's almost like I miss it, even though, like, I was, like, two or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
I
so,
was
yeah,
just
it's just a,
That's so funny. I was just watching the Pamela Anderson documentary, and if
oh,
y'all
yeah.
haven't seen it, you should see it. It's really good. And in 92, I might be wrong, but in 92, Pamela and Tommy Lee got married after knowing each other for like 4 days in
Oh, my
Cancun
God.
or something. And Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, like, he was, that is that vibe. Like, Saturn in Pisces is like Motley Crue, and it's like that music being a source of like of emotion and expression, and not that it isn't now, but that's
Yeah.
interesting because that around that time, like, they came together and there was this like complete, like, full out romance. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I guess that is like the major things that I see for March.
Also,
Do you want to move to like April, or do you want to move to just
let's
what
so
you
there's a
see?
lot happening in March. So Venus is conjunct Jupiter on March 1st. That's a really beautiful transit. When you think about Venus coming together with Jupiter, planet of love and beauty, coming together with expansion and growth, and it's coming together in Aries on March 1st. So that's like ushers in the beginning of March. That'll be like a beautiful moment
Yeah.
at 9 degrees Aries. And then, what did I write? It's going to be a beautiful moment for finding the truth of whatever like moment you are a part of,
Yeah.
and just like this
And
feeling of rawness.
yes. Also on that same day, I actually have March 2nd. So it's like Venus conjunct Jupiter in Aries, Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius,
Yeah,
and Mercury enters Pisces that same day.
all that same day. Yes.
Yeah, so it's very much like, okay, Mercury conjunct Saturn might bring just some like reality around day to day things, or like reality around how you go about communicating in your life. But then Venus conjunct Jupiter is bringing the love, the passion in a way that's like tenfold in your life. Mercury enters Pisces also, though. So it's like it passes over Saturn, and now it's in like the ethereal
Yeah.
art creative realm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also have on March 11th, Jupiter conjunct Chiron in Aries. So there's a lot of like initiatory Aries energy.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. It's like healing but expanding at the same time.
Yeah.
And then March 23rd, Pluto moves into Aquarius. March 25th, Mars moves into Cancer. Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. I have Mars in Cancer natally in my chart. But the motto for Mars in Cancer is ride the waves, is like learning how to surf.
Yeah.
Mars
oh my God.
is
And
like,
it's so
yeah.
cool that you surf. You literally learn that.
I can like feel it when I'm out there. I'm like, yeah, Mars in
Yeah.
Cancer. Ocean of emotion.
Ocean of emotion.
Yeah. And then then there's eclipse season, right?
Yeah, so yes, so right before I have April 11th, there's a Jupiter Cazimi in Aries, and
yeah.
Cazimi means that Jupiter is at the heart of the sun. So it's when Jupiter and the sun are conjunct, or when you say a Mercury Cazimi, it's the same thing. It's Mercury in the heart of the sun. So it's basically just a conjunction, but Jupiter with the sun, I feel like I think of the sun card with that. I think of, in tarot, I think of like, I don't know, great dreams and like identity fulfilling prophetic dreams and ideals and like ways that you can be more yourself. I don't know. I'm just improving here, but that's a big one right there. And then it's total solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. So the moon completely hides the solar surface, cutting off all direct rays of sunlight.
On April 19th?
April 20th.
April 20th.
Yes, April
1920.
April 19th.
That's what I
Yeah.
had. Yeah, so eclipses. Something about
And that's
like,
at the end of Aries.
Yeah.
Right at the end of Aries.
Right at the last degree of Aries. So it's like, that's a very powerful degree. So, like, how do you experience eclipses? Because every eclipse season that I have like been consciously noticing in my life, something has been initiated, and I have literally like entered a portal towards it feels like towards my destiny. That's how I experience eclipses.
Yeah, I weirdly, like, I don't notice them crazily. And I don't know if it's because it's not that I don't notice them. I can definitely feel like this, like, kind of just like this floaty, not floaty, but like, just like an energy that's a bit like, I don't want to say mutable, but like just something that's like, just a little bit like, it's changing, like, don't like promise
Don't do anything.
Don't do anything that's like
unstable.
concrete. Yeah, like the concreteness of that time. I just noticed like the energy in the air. It's not so much like personal, but maybe it's like, maybe I just have to tap in more to the personal aspect. But I do always notice just an energy in the air that's a little bit like wonky. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Eclipses are wild.
Yeah. So I have 3 days after that, Mercury turns retrograde. I think this is the first Mercury retrograde of the new, second retrograde of the new year in Gregorian calendar, first of the zodiac calendar. So it turns retrograde sextile Mars at the same time in Taurus Cancer. And by the way, Mercury turns retrograde 4 times a year. So this is like kind of major, but it's just it's kind of normal. So
I am like tired of Mercury retrograde. I'm just like, I don't like love to even talk about it because I'm like, I don't care. Like I simply don't care about Mercury retrograde.
Yes, it's honestly like the most annoying. It's just annoying to me because I notice it a lot. I notice Mercury retrogrades a lot. I don't know why.
I do, but I also I'm like, I don't care enough to like have it affect like a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. I do know. I literally notice it in technology. Like things just get annoyingly messed up, or like I'll like delete something that I didn't mean to, and I'm like, oh,
you know what? I do notice that.
Yeah,
I do notice that. I just don't want to.
Yeah, and people being like insane on the roads, like I noticed that too. Like people just being insane and like not reckless, but just like stupid, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't like this.
Yeah. Okay, what else? I have, so in March, so much is happening in March. Jupiter
Oh, we're going
enters
back to
Taurus.
March?
Jupiter enters Taurus in March as well.
Oh,
March
wow.
16th.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll be definitely a shift. I love Jupiter. Jupiter, I just think of like as a blessing, and you just see where it's entering into your chart, and you'll just be like, okay, cool. That's going to be a time where for me in the fifth house, Jupiter's in my fifth house, where there's might be more like of a creative spark or a creative up level a little bit.
That's going to be in your fifth house? Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Also,
that's an exciting one.
the other side of the coin with Jupiter is I've noticed like growth, like even if it's not good growth, like you know how sometimes things can like progress and get extensive, right? So like it's a benefic, so it's like always going to bring more good than not, unless it's in a challenging aspect with some other planet, but yeah, it's always going to just bring growth wherever that is. So it's like,
Yeah,
that means whatever it means to you, right?
growth, and
Growth.
expansion. And then I have like July and August, and then those are the major ones that I wrote down. I have July 17th, the node.
Could I say, because there's some stuff in May that I wrote down, and then we can get to that. May 1st, Pluto turns retrograde in Aquarius, so that's the first retrograde after it enters Aquarius. May 5th, so like we said, it's eclipse season now, so as of April 20th, 19th, that's the total solar eclipse. And then as of May 5th, we have a prenumbral lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Or, actually, is that correct?
Yeah,
Scorpio,
I think
maybe?
it's the last one in Scorpio Taurus, and then
I was
the
just
nodes.
going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, because that makes sense, because I was like, I thought it was now Aries Libra access, but okay, that makes
No,
sense. So it's the
in
last
July.
of the... Okay. So that's in Scorpio, and what I wrote down, because it's a prenumbral lunar eclipse, I was just like, I want people to know what that actually is. The sun, earth, and moon are imperfectly aligned, so the sunlight is blocked from the earth to the moon's surface, so the moon is only partially lit. So it will be like, it will just look like a faded, I guess lunar eclipse means new moon, right? Total or full moon, I don't remember, but it's just going to be partially visible, and it might look a little odd, like the shading might be like on top versus like on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then another May, Mercury turns direct. We don't care. May 16th. Did you say March 16th Jupiter enters Taurus?
That's what I have written down, yeah.
Okay. I have May 16th, but maybe it's jumbled. Maybe I read it wrong.
I don't know.
Okay. Jupiter square Pluto retrograde May 17th, and that's all I have from May.
So, what does this all mean?
I would say, like, yeah, Mercury is just fast moving. So I just wrote the retrogrades. That's just more like, okay, keep that in mind. Like May, it's going to go direct again, so things will go back to normal.
Yeah.
But then May 17th, Jupiter square Pluto retrograde. I always find it interesting when there's like a challenging aspect with a planet that's in retrograde, because I feel like it's meant to like, it's actually going to be like more felt than not. But these are also slower moving planets. So that's the only reason I was really focusing with these major transits on like the slower moving planets. So Jupiter square Pluto retrograde, and this is like Taurus Aquarius. It's like, okay, we're in fixed energy. So I feel like there might be just some like recalibrating when it comes to like values, but also like bigger growth. Like when we're talking about like long-standing growth, maybe there's like something that feels like it's actually going backwards during that time, or like something is being brought up again that like we don't want to see, like maybe, I don't know, something with like finances, something with, I could see that being with finances, with Pluto and Taurus, and but Aquarius and Jupiter are bringing more like ethereal, like less tangible vibes. So it could be more like conceptual in terms of like what this like what this shows up to you. Maybe it's more like in your head versus like real, something real to worry about, you know?
So in July, so in the summer, the nodes are going to change from Aries to Libra, to Aries and Libra. And that will be very interesting.
The
So we have the
nodes.
last, what?
Tell me about the nodes more.
So when the last eclipse always happen on the nodes. So when you think of eclipse season, you'll think of the nodes of the moon, which are actually like portals in the sky. They're not planets. They're portals in the sky that represent in your birth chart like where your life is headed. Like where the direction of your life. The south node speaks to past lives, which is so interesting. And I recently had a reading where I was talking about my south node in Gemini in the 6th house being sharing or being of service, which is like in past lives, my soul in another body in another time was being of service to people. And that was like my commitment. 6th house is like work, but in Gemini it's like sharing ideas, sharing teachings. And in this life, my life is headed in the opposite direction, which is Sag in the 12th, which can be interpreted in so many ways. But the nodes really speak to like also what you can do on a day-to-day basis to feel like fulfilled and solid and confident as you move through your day. Do you feel that?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I totally see that with like Sagittarius in the 12th house. That's like knowledge around mindful, therapeutic energy. That's so beautiful. I never put that together in your chart.
So when the nodes move, I feel like the collective energy and the collective like dream is going towards a certain direction. So when the north node is going to move into, where is the north node right now?
I have no idea.
Aries and Libra, it's in Taurus. Good question. We can look that up and we'll let you guys know.
But yeah, like it's, I guess it's like,
the eclipses will happen in Aries and Libra. And that will be just like a total shift. So the last eclipse that you were talking about, which will happen, I don't know the date, but the one in Scorpio, this will be the last moment for you to like let go. It's very much like a letting go. It's a south node eclipse. It's like a purging. A south node eclipse is like really powerful. It's like purging, letting go of like really what you don't want to harbor anymore, like in your body, in your mind. And Scorpio is purging, and it's like composting. So this last eclipse in Scorpio Taurus will be very much that.
May 5th.
Yeah, May 5th. And then, so the beginning of May might feel like it may feel a bit dark. I don't want to say dark. Like it'll feel like, oof, all right, what am I like letting go of that maybe I'm not ready to, but like really needs to leave? That's what May like.
Yeah, that's totally in line with May 1st, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So it's like 4 days later, we have Scorpio eclipse. So, yeah, that might feel very, like, destiny themes coming up and like shifting that, like even if it feels comfortable to you, if something feels more comfortable and like safe, it might be like forcing you to like see the other side of what that comfort means. I can see that being
May
a
is going to
thing.
be like May might be like a more challenging,
Yeah,
I would say.
I can see that. I can
Yeah.
definitely see that.
It's always good to know, to be prepared.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God, there's so many retrogrades. Okay, can I just say all of this in June? What's happening with my notes? Pluto retrograde enters Capricorn June 11th. Saturn turns retrograde June 17th. Neptune turns retrograde June 30th.
oh shit. Wow.
That's June
So a
for
lot
what
of
I have in
retrogrades in
notes.
June. Like Liz said earlier, like summer, beginning of summer will be super reflective. And maybe not a time to like be gung ho on like getting plans figured out and like making long term plans and commitments.
Yeah.
That would be my advice, is to like not make super solid commitments in late June. Wait
Kind of
until
live
the
in the moment.
go direct.
Yeah. Like live in the moment more and be a little bit more present in the now versus, because that really that does kind of make sense with how the year goes anyway. Like June and July and the summer is always the time of like, let's get out there and experience all that life has to offer, versus in the winter time. I mean, obviously it would be ideal to have like retrogrades in the winter time so that you can reflect on things more, and more easily, but it's also just a matter of being just more present and not thinking so much about the future and plans, hardcore plans.
Totally. I have some Venus transits later in the summer, from July 22nd to September 3rd. Venus goes retrograde in Leo.
Yes, I have that
And
too.
that will be interesting. Like Venus in Leo, I feel like is this like strength, and the sun, Venus in like the sun's ruling sign is like, I feel like it's like beautiful and like strong
Yeah.
and empowering. And so July 22nd to September 3rd, take some time to like reflect on where you're giving your power away and where you can take it back in any
Yeah.
part of your life. Power
And
not being like manipulative power, but like your own autonomy.
yeah, and I think with this, like the sun, anytime the sun is in Leo, it's entering its domicile. So the sun is always at
What does that
home in
mean?
Leo. It means it's just at home. It feels comfortable. It's like when the moon is in Cancer, it's comfortable and it's like, it's just living its best life. So that's supportive for the Venus going retrograde in Leo. There's probably going to be a conjunction there, which would be kind of reflecting on your values and how it relates to your identity and how you can best grow into your identity, because the sun is comfortable and wants to like shine here. So I could see that being a nice time after like kind of a more like reflective month of June.
And when it starts to get cool in September, like Venus will go direct and it'll feel like this. Oh, I feel like it'll just be this moment of like, wow, things are beautiful, things are moving along. I feel
Relief.
confident. Yeah, there's
Yes.
a sense of alleviation, inspired art. And then in August 13th, Venus Cazimi in Leo. So that will be like a culmination moment of Venus in Leo being right next to the sun, being in its sign of the sun, like Leo's, like peak Leo season energy. How do you think that will play out? What do you think that would manifest as?
Venus and the sun. I see it as like feeling really connected to who you are. Like doing, whether that's doing something that like makes you feel like you are enjoying life. Like, for instance, I like just got like a weird insight, like that could be like going to a paint night. If you like don't like, I've never done that before, but like if you're like, if you have this goal in your life where you're like, I just want to do more of blank, like whether that's like going to like a sauna or going to a massage, getting facials, doing more things that are about like Venusian good feeling things. I feel like this sun, yes, the sun Kazemi could be like, okay, well, this feels really aligned with who I want to be. Maybe it's not what I've been doing, but I'm going to do that now. It's a beautiful time for that. So just think about that. What is that? August, you said 13th? Mm-hmm. So that's a good time to like do those things that you really like have always wanted to just do, but like haven't had the time, you know?
Yeah, I feel like there's something about Leo and fire signs that speaks to action and like doing things before, like you said, doing things before you're ready is fucking.
That's
is
a fire
amazing.
sign thing.
I would recommend. I would recommend doing things before you're ready. Like,
always, because you're actually never gonna feel ready.
You're never gonna feel ready, ever.
Yeah.
And like, not just then, like just anytime you feel like you can take action that is aligned with your mission, your destiny, whatever you want to call it. Like, take a moment to do that thing. Like, the other day I was on a coaching call and we broke out for like 5 minutes and we were instructed to just do something that would get us closer to our mission or destiny or goals, and just do one thing in those 5 minutes that like you have been putting off, and just take the action and like ignore the feelings of like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I have down like October is the other eclipse, the annular solar eclipse in Libra. And I wrote down here, that's October 14th. The moon passes between the sun and earth while it is at its furthest point from the earth. So it appears smaller than the sun, but it does not completely cover it. So it's basically like a black ball, and like the sun like has its like rays around it. That's what that will look like. And yeah, October 14th is that. And then the same month on your birthday, we have a partial lunar eclipse in Taurus.
Oh shit.
In Taurus?
On October 28th.
Yeah. And that's the same day that Mars and Mercury are opposite Jupiter retrograde. I thought that was kind of
so is the eclipse
an interesting
in Taurus and Taurus and Libra? Taurus.
So I don't know. Maybe. So here's what I wrote down. Like, it said Taurus. This is from a resource that I am very trusted in. But I know what you mean. There was like talks about how now the eclipse is now going to be on the Aries Libra axis as of the last. Maybe this is the last.
Maybe that one is the last one.
Is the last of Taurus or Taurus Scorpio.
Yeah. Could be.
And then it will just shift all next year into like Aries Libra. Either way, we have both this year. Like we have both Libra Aries eclipses and Taurus Scorpio.
Yeah, so in general, this year is going to be like a shift into like, I guess kind of like where the general energy is moving towards and what eclipses are doing, like what portals we're entering.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be shifting.
Yeah.
From like, we're used to the Taurus Scorpio axis, which is like, feels very resonant and just really palpable. And Aries Libra will be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Mars and Venus now, right? Because I always think of like the planet ruler when we're thinking about eclipses because it just helps. So it's like Taurus Scorpio, that's like Pluto and Venus. But also in ancient astrology, it's Mars and Venus too. Mars was the ancient ruler of Scorpio. But now we're going into Aries and Libra, so it's like it's the same, kind of the same energy, but just different. Like now we're fire and air versus like earth and water. I think it's more like quick moving and like change making.
Yeah, definitely.
Initiative.
It's less
because that's cardinal energy now.
It's less of like decomposting and more of like initiating and ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I have November 4th, Saturn turns direct again in Pisces. November 18th, there's a Mars Cazimi in Scorpio, which I thought that was really cool because the sun is exalted in Aries, but it's Mars ruled, right? So it's like the sun and Mars, it's like very fiery, very like, I just feel like very excitable, and like by that, like just that energy feels very like moving and heat and like initiative, I guess is like the best way. And yeah, so it's like very connected. It seems very mutual reception because Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio, Sun is exalted in Aries, Mars ruled, Mars Cazimi in Scorpio. That's all I have for November, and then it gets to December. Do you have any for November?
No.
Okay, so yeah, December, it's like Neptune turns direct, so we're Jupiter turns direct December 30th. So beginning of the month, Neptune direct. End of the month, Jupiter direct. And then we have another Mercury retrograde, December 13th. So yeah, that is the major transits of 2023.
Cool.
Do we want to just do quick end of like Pisces season forecast? Like we can like kind of just go through it, talk about anything that comes up.
Yeah, let me see what
does that sound good?
Let's see. So Pisces season begins February 18th.
2 days.
So, like, 2 days from now, which is the 16th. And the sun will be in Pisces from February 18th to around March 20th.
Yes.
On February 20th, which is Monday, there's a new moon. It's like the night of the 19th into the 20th. There's a new moon in Pisces, which is interesting because it's like the initiation of Pisces season. There's a new moon. I think it's just going to be a really sweet new moon. It'll be like really of like new seeds energy.
Yes. I also have that same day Venus enters Aries.
Yes.
Which I wonder, now this is making me like look just more into it. I wonder if Venus really coincides with the new moons every month, because you know how we're saying like Venus is always just kind of a month ahead of the sun ish, give or take. I wonder if it coincides with the new moon, kind of like pretty exact. So it's like always around that time where like there's new energy, Venus is also entering an energy that's one step ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so Venus will enter Aries, which is, yeah, I feel like Venus and Aries is like, I don't know. What do you feel like? I love Venus and Aries. I love the energy of like Venus in a fire sign, because it's like, I guess it is a little bit like the Mars Venus dynamic in a way, but not exactly. And I think that like Venus in Aries is just, to me, just like beautiful youth, like sparking, kind of like, I feel like kind of like not rebellious, but just like a little bit like I don't give a fuck, kind of like I'm gonna do what I want. And like I guess two people that I love who have Venus and Aries, Kehlani and Rihanna. So when you think about them, you think about like how they have like just
decor on their bodies with like tattoos, and like how they just come off a little bit like badass chicks, and beautiful voices. Like I always think of like singers. Like I notice a lot of people who perform and sing, and a lot of the people who like come off strong in that have like Aries placements.
Oh, totally.
So that's just something that I love to see. But yeah, Venus and Aries is just like sexy and like spunky and like decorative, but also like stands up for something and has a voice and like has that like drive.
My dog is barking.
Stevie.
Yeah, Venus and Aries, I totally see that. Like this like spunky, sexy energy.
Yeah. What else do I have? I have just like not minor, but like just cool to note. Like Mercury is square Uranus, February 21st. This is in Aquarius and Taurus. February 22nd, Mercury trine Mars, Aquarius, Gemini. And then March 2nd, like we've said in the past, is Venus conjunct Jupiter in Aries, Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, and Mercury enters Pisces, all like what we said, March 2nd. So like March starts off like with a big bang. And obviously, I didn't write this down specifically, but we have the big like Saturn entering Pisces, Pluto entering Aquarius, all in March.
March is big.
Yeah. We also got the Virgo full moon on March 7th, same day that Saturn enters Pisces, actually. And yeah, Mars square Neptune, March 14th, which is like, I see that, I love that there's so much like Pisces energy here. It's like late winter, early spring energy happening all in March, which obviously makes sense with like the sun's route. But it's cool that there's a lot of other planets that are kind of doing the same thing, which means like they're more conjunct versus like opposing, so it's more harmonious.
There's more conjunctions for sure happening lately. And like this year there's definitely some squares. We didn't talk about squares, but those are more like challenging aspects, but I feel like that's just more like action based in the moment type stuff. I love conjunctions.
Me too.
Me too. Like, I think those are my favorite.
Yes.
Because it's like a blending. It's like a blending of the planets.
Another really nice conjunction is March 15th, Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces. I feel like a lot of people are like, when they talk about Neptune, they're like, well, watch for like illusions and like addictions.
I see that a lot.
And it's like, sometimes one of my favorite astrologers, I'll shout him out because this is kind of a direct quote, Adam Ellenboss of Nightlight Astrology, he said, like, when we talk about Neptune, it's like that thing, like, oh, watch for, like, that, like, watch for the unseen, or that part, but it's more beneficial, especially for our human race and, like, our generation. It's like, you want to be more imaginative. We don't really have enough of that. Like, we're more focused on like the tangible, like the things of the everyday, like the money and the things, but like we should be more imaginative and tapping into the things that are a little bit idealistic, which obviously can, if you get excessive with it, can bring illusion, but it's, I don't think that we're at a level of like having to warn ourselves of illusion. Like we just don't, we should tap in more to our imagination. So March 15th is a great time to do that.
Totally. Like I think with imagination, we have no imagination. Like our imaginations are so tamped down and watered down because like what we see in the day to day is like what's on the news, like most people. And I think like there's a huge movement happening with like imaginative art and like imagining your life into existence. And I really think Neptune can speak to that energy. So like wherever you have Neptune in your chart can speak to like how you experience imagination in your life and how you can imagine things into existence. Where's
definitely.
Neptune in your chart?
I think it's in the third house. It's in the third house, and that would be. Why am I forgetting? I don't even know what sign that is right now. I'm like, oh, Capricorn. Yeah. Where's Neptune in your chart?
First house Capricorn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense because Neptune moves really slow, so I'm sure it was
Yeah, so we all have
just in Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I have March 16th is just like a lot happening. It's not really like crazy stuff, but like it's just a big transit day. Like Mercury conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So right after the sun, Mercury's right there too. So it's like Mercury, Sun, Neptune kind of in a loose conjunction with each other. The Sun square Mars is happening that day in Pisces and Gemini. Venus square Pluto is happening that day in Aries and Capricorn. So there's 2 squares going on. But there's also some nice conjunctions going on. And then Venus also enters Taurus on March 16th, leaving its exile, entering its domicile. So
it does enter on March 16th.
Yeah. Yep. Which, yeah, it's all around the same time that, like, the sun will move into Aries. So it's all connected to that new moon energy. Yeah, I would say this day is, like, it's, like, very balanced with, like, challenging energies as well as, like, nice energies. And those nice energies are, like, the sun with the idealism, like we just talked about, Mercury conjunct Neptune, so like communicating your dreams to either yourself, like journaling about these things, like it's a great time, I feel like, for that. But then you're also working with the sun squaring Mars and Venus squaring Pluto, so it's like values and action may be a little bit harder to tap into. Maybe your values and your identity feel a little bit like out of touch, but I feel like it's great for communicating things that may not be in reality right now, but maybe you're thinking about them. Yeah, I'll just run through the last of what I have. It's not much. So March 17th, Mercury square Mars. So that's happening right after a conjunction. Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury will be in the heart of the sun on March 17th. And then right after, like pretty much 2 days after that, Mercury enters Aries. So March 19th. And then March 20th is the sun entering Aries. And then we are in Aries season.
Aries season.
So yeah, I would say like March 17th, you could watch for like maybe miscommunications, anything that's just like challenging to get across. But then you're also dealing with something that's like a conjunction with Mercury and the sun. So like around the end of March, there's a lot of energies that are like challenging, but also harmonious. And yeah, right when Mercury enters Aries, the sun is right behind it, and it will also enter Aries soon after. So that is all I have for the forecast of Pisces season.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, thanks for listening, y'all.
We will be back next time. I don't know if we have solid plan for that, but I think kind of like maybe insights on Aquarius season. Maybe we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But we'll be back in a week or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Cool.
Cool.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.